What's up, guys? This is Ian here, coach of your Ladner Lanturn, bringing you guys our aABL Season 4 Week 3 match. We are taking on Devin Rosa and his Detroit Decidueyes this week. Let's run through Devin's team. He has Kyurem-Black, which is a Z user, Kommo-o, which is a Z user, Lycanroc Dusk, Meloetta, Golisopod, Alomomola, Articuno, which is a Z user, Mega Aggron, Mew, Celebi, Hitmonlee, and Guzzlord. I was not expecting the Articuno, I was not expecting the Kommo-o, and I was not expecting the Guzzlord, and as we see, Articuno and Kommo-o showed up. I was expecting things like Lycanroc Dusk to be there. I was expecting things like Mew to show up for sure, Celebi even. Hitmonlee seemed like it had an okay matchup against my team, but, you know, can't predict him all the time, right? So, based on the team that he's got, he has priority options, potentially with Meloetta with Quick Attack and Golisopod with a ton. He has hazard options, and Kommo-o can put up Stealth Rocks, Golisopod can have Spikes, Mega Aggron can have Stealth Rocks. His only removal option is Articuno with Defog, so I'm feeling pretty good about my hazard stack strategy. He brought two of his 4x weaknesses, Kommo-o to Fairy and Articuno to Rock. I don't think we actually had Rock coverage for the Articuno because, you know, whatever. But Kommo-o is still 4x weak to Fairy. We do have the Hyper Voice on Mega Gardevoir for that, as long as it's not soundproof. I'm expecting it to be soundproof. That would make the most sense against the Mega Gardevoir team. So, yeah, if you haven't seen my team builder, you should check it out. We are a physically defensive Skarmory with no attacks. We're a hazard stacking set with Roost and Whirlwind. Assault Vested Serena. We're sub Combine Mega Gardevoir, Specs, Rotom-Wash, Bulk Up, Girder, and Life Orb. 3 attacks Nidoking. I might have Rocks on Nidoking as my last move. I think we're Life Orb 3 attacks on Nidoking. I'm not entirely sure. I can't remember exactly. Let me just check really quickly to see if that is correct. We are, yes, sorry, it's not Rocks, it's Toxic. We're Life Orbs 3 attacks with Toxic, which I assume would be for something like the Mew or the Celebi, or the Alomomola. That's kind of what I'm thinking the Toxic is there for. Yeah, so my game plan looking at his team is I'm going to lead Skarmory. He has nothing that can... Sorry, I'm going to lead Rotom-Wash because he doesn't have a ground type, and I can get a free Volt Switch or Thunderbolt off or whatever. Seems like really free against his team. Specs, Rotom puts in a lot of work despite the fact that he has 2 electric resists, excuse me, in both of his dragons being Kommo-o and Kyurem. Yeah, so... Let's get right into things. I'm going to lead Rotom as he's going to lead with Articuno. This is a really good matchup for me off the lead. As long as he's not Scarf, I should be faster, and I live a Freeze Dry if he is Scarf. So I'm going to click Thunderbolt, actually, thinking that I can just kill the Articuno, as he's actually going to double into the Kommo-o here, which is not the worst, because, you know, you can kind of figure out what kind of Kommo-o set that is based on the damage. That's very offensive Kommo-o. There's pretty much no bulk on that. I'm obviously locked into Thunderbolt. I don't really want to take an attack from this thing, so I'm just going to double into my Skarmory as he locks himself in Outrage. So, and we see that does like 15%. That's a physically offensive Kommo-o. Skarmory takes the hits super, super well. This is when it's time to get up all my hazards because he's locked into Outrage. My other play could have been to go into Mega Gardevoir because he's locked into Outrage. See what ability is with the Trace and be able to hit something really hard. Yeah. I could have done that. Maybe that was actually the play, but I decided to just get up my hazards here. Getting up Stealth Rocks first, and then I'm going to get 3 layers of Spikes as he's just going to Outrage me. And then Close Combat once his Outrage is over. I will Roost at some point in there as well, just to get my HP up. I believe this turn I click Roost. Yeah, I click it this turn, and Close Combat, I mean, it's just lowering his defenses over and over and over again. Pretty good position for my Skarmory to be in to get up all the hazards. I was anticipating to be able to get up all of these on the Mega Aggron, but getting them up on the Kommo-o is just as good. Yeah, pretty much, because now I can start phasing things around over them, and Articuno is taking 50% from Rocks, and everything else is taking a ton of damage. They're all taking 25% from Spikes. Kyurem's taking 50% because of the Rocks as well. Golisopod's taking 50% as well, so if I phase Golisopod in, it has to emergency exit out, which is really good for me. I'm going to scout for something. I think I was going into Gardevoir here. Now that all the layers are up and I'm full health, I went into Gardevoir here because I was expecting another close combat, as he actually chooses this turn to Dragon Dance. So that's pretty hilarious that that was the turn he chose to Dragon Dance. We do trace Bulletproof, so it's not Soundproof, which means Hyper Voice is going to blow this thing back. He is faster than me now, though. I was trying to get my Gardevoir into a position where I'd be faster and I can just wipe it out with a Psychic. Hyper Voice obviously will kill it now that we know that it's not Soundproof. But now I'm going to go back into Skarmory to scout for the Steel or Poison coverage that he's got, because he definitely has it from Mega Gardevoir, otherwise I'd just wall it completely. So we'll go back into Skarmory, and we see the Poison Jab. Not the worst scenario. Now I need to phase this thing, because I can't really beat it otherwise. I don't have anything that can 1v1 it while it's boosted, so I'm going to click Whirlwind, as he's going to close combat again, and he's going to get a crit, which is really unfortunate, actually. Because now it means the Skarmory can't just directly switch into something like a Gliscod right away. I have to be able to get a free Roost off against it, which means that or I have to come in on a first impression. I bring out Meloetta here. I'm pretty scared because obviously Meloetta, when you think about it, and in my matchup, I figured it would be a special attacking variant, so I'm going to switch into Serena, which is my special wall this week, the Assault Vest, as he clicks Relic Song. And that did damage equal to a specially offensive Meloetta. So I thought it was really strange that it's like a specially offensive Pirouette form, because that's not really a thing. Pirouette form is the physically attacking form, and so you'd normally run Hyper Voice over Relic Song on a special set because it's the better stab. Yeah, because Pirouette form drops its special attack like significantly to up its physical attack. So anyways, I'm just going to stay in here and click Play Rough because it's super effective. Excuse me. As he's going to land a Focus Blast, first of all, which is obviously stab now that he's in fighting form, and he gets the Spidef drop, which basically nullifies my Assault Vest. Landing the Focus Blast is impressive by itself, 70% accurate move, and Play Rough's not going to be able to kill this thing. I don't really know if it was a roll. I don't know how much HP he's running. Maybe max HP, probably max HP. So I wasn't entirely sure on the roll. Obviously it wasn't stab, so I wasn't really sure what I was getting into. But this is basically his only special attacker looking at his team that Serena can take on. Serena was here for the Celebi mostly, as well as the Mew. It could take on both of them really, really well. Took on Guzzlord really well too. And none of those came. So Serena's role is not the most important. I'm just going to be able to get a good knockoff here. Pardon me. As we knock off the Mind Plate, so that was definitely a especially offensive one. Trying to boost Psychic. Seemed really strange to me at the time, I don't know. Incoming is going to be the Articuno, and I'm just going to click Knock Off again, as he's actually just going to land the Hurricane, another 70% accurate move that he lands, and he shows out to be leftovers, so that's pretty free for my Rotom to just come in, because now we know he's not faster, he's not Scarfed. I would have probably gone Rotom anyways because it was a Hurricane that he had used, so I'm just going to click Volt Switch this time in case he wants to switch into Kommo-o again. I don't think he really wants to switch around with my full hazards sitting on his side of the field, but I'm going to Volt Switch for free and take out the Articuno here. I could have clicked Thunderbolt, but then something else comes in for free when I can just get Girder in, which beats everything else 1v1. In comes the Kommo-o, and at that range, an Ice Punch is a roll to knock this thing out, so I'm just going to go for it, as he's going to click the Poison Jab, which is doing the least damage from all of his moves, but he was probably going for the Poison chance. Obviously, if you've watched my Team Builder and you know my set, then him getting the Poison would have been even better for me, because then I would have been Guts boosted. But there goes the Kommo-o. In comes the Mega Aggron this time. So I'm not sure what to think about this. I'm pretty sure it's just free bulk ups because Heavy Slam is doing like 20% to me, and then I can start Drain Punching HP back later. So I'm going to go for the bulk up here, as he's going to show off the Heavy Slam doing 40% to my physically defensive of Violate Girder. That is Adamant Max Tack, friends. Or Brave Max Tack, whatever it may be. I'm pretty sure it is Brave because we end up showing, I think it's this turn, yeah, that it's a speed tie, that I win this time. And there comes the, sorry, it's not a speed tie. He's Adamant because he used Avalanche, which is a negative priority move. I'm boosted on defense though, so it doesn't really matter. I got some HP back from the Drain Punch. I'm just going to click Drain Punch again, and we see that it's likely a roll. And I got low rolled on the second one, which was doing a lot less than the first one, and he lives on 5. And then this turn I go for the knockoff as he clicks Heavy Slam again, still doing ridiculous damage. Crit didn't matter, obviously. Knockoff was doing like 13% from that range. In comes the Kyurem-Black. I feel like I'm just going to sack off the Girder here. I click Drain Punch in case he wanted to run like a Hone Claws set or something like that. But he is just going to go for the Ice Beam here. And I'm not sure what set this is. It could be a Z set. Kommo-o didn't show off an item either, so I don't know what item the Kommo-o was. Yeah, I'm not sure. We don't see a Life Orb, so I know it's not a Life Orb set. It could be Scarfed. If it is Scarfed, then Mega Gardevoir is my play here because I can live the Ice Beam 100% of the time. So I'm going to go Mega Gardevoir here, and I'm going to click the... Excuse me, I'm going to click the Hyper Voice because it's going to knock this thing out. Psychic actually would have knocked this thing out from that range if he was no bulk, but Hyper Voice always killed, even if he was max HP. And we turned out to be faster, so I don't know if Kyurem was Z. It was probably Z. Now Gliscod comes out. It's going to be at 50%. Obviously, the 51%. Sorry, emergency exit wouldn't have even popped because he was at 51%. But it was not going to matter when it's the last thing out. First impression is a roll to kill me. Excuse me, if he's the Insect Plate set. So I'm going to go into my Skarmory here, which is my best bet. Eats first impression like it's breakfast, is 10%. I get it for a Roost off here because I know I'm faster. And he's going to go for Liquidation, which is his best way to hit my Skarmory. And because we see Liquidation, I'm going to double in a Rotom-Wash because I think he's going to go for it again. And he shows off the Leech Life and crits me. Leech Life, even if it was Insect Plate boosted, we know he's not banded, obviously, because he's switched up moves. Maybe like an Assault Vest variant, something like that. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, an Insect Plate boosted hit could not kill me unless he crit me. Because of Rotom's base defense, we lived, it was like 93% was the max roll, I think. 93 or 96 was the max roll, and then Thunderbolt would kill it the next turn. And he obviously can't use First Impression anymore because that only works the first time you're in. So that was really unfortunate. The fact that he decided to switch up moves and go for the Leech Life there was a good play on his part. Caught me off guard. I was not expecting him to just randomly switch into Leech Life when he has a Skarmory in front of him. Because it's not going to touch Skarmory at all. It's going to do like no kinds of damage, like maybe 6% to the Skarmory or something like that. But he read my Rotom switch maybe, I guess, so there you go. Obviously I had nothing else that wanted to take Liquidation besides Rotom, so that was a good read, I guess. So anyways, Rotom goes down, unfortunately, but we get to bring in our Nidoking here, which I know is going to be faster, and a Life Orb boosted Thunderbolt will kill this thing if it's the Insect Plate variant, which I believe that it is. So, I'm going to click Thunderbolt as he Aqua Jets, and it's not going to kill me, and the Thunderbolt is going to knock him out. So we have taking the win 3-0, first win in the aABL. Feels pretty good. I went into this match pretty confident about my game plan and stuff like that. I think maybe Minior could have just swept if I brought it in on something. I'm not sure what I would have set Minior up on, maybe like Meloetta. I probably wouldn't have been able to take down the Mega Aggron. The spike stacking and the like the hazard stacking plan worked out really, really well. In the end, it worked out super well. Offensive Mega Aggron caught me way off guard. I think Girder could have put in a lot more work if I didn't get absolutely blown back by those Heavy Slams. And I still don't know what the Kommo-o's item was. I still don't know what the Kyurem's item was. Pirouette Meloetta was odd, to say the least. I expected a Lomomola to come to maybe wall like Weavile or something. I thought Weavile had a pretty decent matchup against his team, to be completely honest with you. That might have been why he didn't bring Mew or Celebi, because Weavile just absolutely destroyed both of them. But that's what I thought. Hitmonlee was really good because I had two Dark types in Incineroar and Weavile's 4 times weak to fighting, so it all comes down to sort of how the game played out. I think it was pretty good. It ended up being a really good match, and unfortunately Mega Gardevoir didn't put in all of the work that I wanted it to. Especially because nothing on his team outsped Mega Gardevoir. It kind of just got to click Hyper Voice. I was considering leading Mega Gardevoir, and then I saw the Mega Aggron, and I'm like, well, that's probably his lead. And I should have decided then that... Gliscod as well. But I should have decided then that I was going to lead Mega Gardevoir to claim a kill. And if Mega Aggron was the lead, I switched into Skarmory right away. Either way, we end up winning, picking up the win. Next week we play my good buddy Jay and his UNC Wingles. I'm moving this weekend, so we'll see what happens. Jay's a really good battler. I'm expecting to not have a fantastic showing against Jay. I think overall it's not going to be that great of a match, if I'm being completely honest. But we'll see how it goes. Like from my end, I don't think it's going to be that great of a match. I do have a couple ways to beat his team, but I haven't looked super in depth into building for him. He's got a very offensive team, and Coco Lucha is just gross. Luckily for me, he doesn't have the best bulk in the world, so my team should be able to deal with his on the bulk side pretty well. He doesn't have... Well, I'm not going to talk about it too much, but, you know, there you go. Yeah, next week we take on Jay, and I'll catch you guys later.